believe and you could do through the universal creator's mind. 8 days of a full moon, you should know. God Vaudou. The god Vaudou is what they now mispronounce voodoo. There's no such thing as voodoo. It's Vaudou. And Vaudouism is to a spirit god that's said to dwell between the third dimension and the fifth dimension. A god who sometimes can present himself if summoned and if paid enough and can do things for you while still on the third dimension. Everything that we're learning now in the term of what they call divining, sorcery, magic is based on using higher dimensions while still in the lower dimension. It's calling on forces from the fourth dimension while still in the third dimension. You have to summon those forces. You have to begin to vibrate where they are. If they were good, they still wouldn't answer you because they're in the process of ascending. Universal Prime Creator, and I call First Cause, has set up planes and vibrations and areas that we can't even begin to understand. We think in terms, most of the cases, of traveling linearly. We get in our cars, we go outside our doors, we walk to a distance, we walk shopping, we drive. What we've now got to encompass is staying in one spot and vibrating faster to travel. That's why time travel is not a thing of the past. We just didn't understand what time travel is. We travel all the time, but we travel in a way that it does not register on our physical bodies. For those who peeped that whole card years ago, and for those who've had this planet longer than we have and have died off, called Atlanteans, Lemurians, Muites, Kuites, these are people who use these dimensions at a time, and so what was ever done here now, we must go through and do again. It simply means that when you're dying, people say that their life passes before them. Well, planetary life passes before her. It's the same thing. Everything is a record in the mind that is now part of the body. And the universal mind, or cosmic mind of the Creator, is now excelling to give our earth a chance to relive what she's gone through so that she can now get rid of those curses and move on. Because of this, and those people referred to as the Illuminati, now know that the gods that they have worshipped to get rich off of you, to kill you, to use your lifeblood, literally and figuratively, they have now got to pay the dues with the gods that they summoned. So therefore, they're going to do whatever they can to get their gods to appease them, not eat them up literally, and to try to stay with the planet who they forsook a long time ago. There's no such thing as paying off debts now. It's a matter now of getting what you earned. You're karmically now going to have to pay for what you dharmically didn't do. Dharma, which was a Hindu word which rivaled karma, karma meant justice, to get the eye for an eye, to get the tooth for a tooth, to get killing for killing. Dharma meant that you could get to a certain state of consciousness where the karma could be relieved and you could do through the universal creator's mind, you could ascend. Well, we're facing all of that now. And anytime you can get 7.5 days or maybe 8 days of a full moon, you should know something. We had a few weeks ago a whole class on the moon, telling you the whole history of the moon. As you know, it was much different than what they're telling you now. What you're going to hear today, something that's going to be much different than you're going to hear on the news, because I'm going to start off giving you the reasons for it. The problem will be, if there's any, what can you do about it? Because these creatures are now being created every day as we speak, and once they bite or infect someone else, it spreads. It's the worst plague you've ever seen. If you saw, there was a guy that was in this movie not too long ago, I think Denzel Washington or somebody else, that played this particular professor, one of the last men on earth, and so it's always that scenario that after a plague hits, something else happens. Well, they knew the plague was going to hit because they created the plague. Let me give you the military point of view, then I will give you another point of view, and we'll see if we can reach a crisis or criteria here of what really has happened. They had back in 2006, I'm sorry, in fact, they even go better than that. On November 26, 2000, they created what they call Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease, called NVCJD. It was a variant of a hemophiliac who died in the hospital, and they used this blood mistakenly, giving it to someone else who didn't need that blood, because it was hemophiliac blood. They've also found that during the world wars that we fight, they try to eliminate people, and they try to eliminate crops, because they feel if they can burn the crops, the people can't exist, and the people will soon die. Well, in doing this, they created what they call Roundup and Gaucho. These are all things that supposedly kill weeds, but what they do, they kill the natural germinated seed of foods, so therefore you're getting foods now that have no value. So most of the foods that could help and stimulate our immune system are causing our immune system to be compromised because they're poisons. They are now creating what they call terminator seeds. These are seeds that come up one season, and therefore they have not the life force by which our bodies and our minds and our spirits and our souls recreate cells. They've taken away the very life force to give you now a death determinant. What they're happening now is that they're beginning to release under this NVCJD, they now created what is called a BF. It means that they first recruited that in the Philippines, and they began to try it on people in the Caribbean later on. They began to inject them. In fact, Mobutu Seko Seko, who was the first one, the president of Zaire, who was the one that was paid $5 million to give what we'd call AIDS to the people there. He's paid money, and they got 200 people were first given the shots, and that went on. Well, when you begin to get chemtrails in the air, we've talked about this before, so if I'm jumping around, that means you haven't been following me. I'm glad you're here now. We're breathing in daily titanium, barium, aluminum, non-human T cells, and anything else they choose to spray. If you have to breathe, you have no choice. So you now are breathing things that can be contaminated and can compromise your immune system. You're eating food that has no nourishment. Therefore, you're eating fibers and not, and then chasing with aspartame and many other sweeteners, which they say are better. They're almost worse than the brown sugar, because the brown sugar becomes a white sugar, and you have no nutrients. So unless you're into taking vitamins, unless you're into taking supplements, unless you can get them in liquid form first of all and in solid form secondarily, you're not getting anything to help your body to stop comprising its immune system. You're not getting anything that can let you stay strong and healthy during this time. And if you're not doing that, you have only one way out. You're going to get sick, you're going to die. You're going to have to find something to take to keep your immune system high, whether it be in meditation. And I don't tell people what to take. I say, this is what you have to do. You've got to get nourishment. Many people are taking vaccines, and they're taking vaccines to avoid the flu. I even understand now you can avoid becoming a zombie by taking a certain flu, a certain shot, a certain thing they're going to give you. There is, for instance, if I can find this, an Ace Hardware store in Nebraska that has what they call a zombie preparedness center, and features a training kit where you can shoot zombies. They also have there what they call bolts and fasteners for broken bones, that you can fasten your own broken bones if you can't get to a surgeon. They have glue and caulk for peeling flesh, and they have a deodorant that you can smell in an area if you're afraid to go outside because your building may be surrounded by zombies. You can get all this preparedness kit, and they give you a cheap price for it, off and on. If that sounds way out, hear this one. The Center for Disease Control 3 years ago said that it was getting ready for isolation, quarantine, and government management, all for places in big cities and so, where there might be attacked by zombies. How did they know this 3 years ago? They have decontamination centers here in the Chicago area at the University of Chicago and Cook County Hospital. In your own city, you'll check, they have decontamination centers. They didn't tell you what they were decontaminating. You thought it was going to be an atomic bomb. No, it's decontamination from these zombies and the blood that they're spilling in the street and so, and getting ready also to warden off these areas with high tension wires, which they can electrify to try to keep people in or out, depending on which ones they're trying to contain, what they're trying to do. There's been many incidents, and these are all incidents that you're going to hear now that have happened over the last 30 days. There was, and you hear so much about this, and I think on the film that you saw just before I came on here again, the Rudy Eugene, 31-year-old guy, what they didn't tell you was he was at a party that night before, and they all got high at this party. Now, the point was he was found on a highway naked. How did he get on the highway naked? How did he wander up there? Why didn't the police or these stoplights or these towers that take pictures of everything on there not see him before? Because they pushed him out of a car. He had already been drugged, and then when he was wandering around, this whole thing that he had been engaged in, he was also supposed, now they're saying this has not been verified, that he was also using cocaine, and that this cocaine thing had been laced with what they call this bath salts. Bath salts now is a universal collective name. It may have DMT, it may have LSD in it, whatever it was. And that causes a heat to form within the body, and you start throwing off your clothes. It's like you're burning alive because everything is so hot. That's why he was taking off his clothes there again. And then in a state of out of his mindness, he came across Ronald Popo, a 65-year-old homeless man again, and began to attack him and talk to him and chew on him per se again. We have pictures of this particular person here And I think you saw it before, but this is the one, Tony, if you can. This is a picture, I think, of one of this guy, this football guy. And I don't know if you got one there now. Now, yeah, if you want to hold that in front of the camera there, that's the face that he left. This is a horror of what he left when he began his eating there of this particular person. He had lost his mind completely out of it, and as I say, they didn't tell you how he got to that daggone highway again. Okay, I thank you very much for that one, Tony. I know it's horrible, but as I told you, or at least I told many of you talk with you, if you don't want to see this portion of the film, just simply don't look at it. If you want some of these films, they will be available. It's going to take us about 10 days to get a packet together. If you want to keep these for 6, we will have a charge. Right now, we're not sure about that again. In Bangkok, Thailand, this is all now within the last 30 days. These are all contemporary. They had 6 humans who began to roast fetuses of babies and sell them. They sold them wrapped in a gold leaf, which was used in a black mass ritual for those who wanted to protect themselves from the creatures from the 4th dimension. They said they had to use newly found fetuses, and so this is a fad now where people are trying to use metaphysics in a backward way to project them against these aliens and things that are coming through on the 4th dimension. Notice I did use that term first time now, aliens. We're going to go there too, because part of this zombiehood are